Now in the last video we talked about VNet peering. That's one way to connect two networks together. In this video we're going to talk about VNet to VNet connections. Now there are actually, these are two different ways of connecting your Azure networks to each other, and there's pros and cons of each. With VNet peering, you pay per gigabyte. I'm going to pull into here a web page, if I can grab it. And we can see here the pricing for VNet peering runs, basically you're paying per gigabyte. So you can connect two networks to each other, but you're going to start to rack up costs at 1 cent per gigabyte. At a terabyte, you're talking about $10, right? And it's inbound and outbound. Now on a global scale, then you're getting up to 3 cents, 9 cents, 16 cents, etc. Okay? So VNet peering has costs, and it's basically based on consumption. When we're talking about using a virtual network gateway to connect two networks, we're using the same technology that we would use for a site-to-site VPN connection. So if you wanted to connect your corporate on-premises network into Azure, you would use a virtual network gateway at the Azure end to connect to your physical gateway within your corporate network. But you can use the same technology to connect two Azure VPNs together. The pricing for VNet to VNet connections is done differently. I'm going to pull in this web page, and we can see that on a monthly basis you're paying for bandwidth. So there's no cap here in terms of megabytes or gigabytes or terabytes that you're using. You're paying $26 a month, and you're getting that consistent 100 megabits per second connection. You can have up to 10 site-to-site tunnels using this same gateway. Okay. You can then upgrade to higher SKUs, so that's the basic SKU, and then you get VPN GW1, 2, and 3. The prices go from $130, $350, $912 per month, but you can see the bandwidth gets up here now to 1.25 gigabits per second. So on a connecting two Azure networks together, you can either choose to pay a consistent amount per month and just have a big fat pipe between them that they can pass data, or you're going to be paying per gigabyte. So your usage is really going to depend which one makes sense. In order to use a virtual network gateway, a few things need to happen. On each virtual network that you're going to be doing this for, you need to create what's called a virtual network, a gateway subnet, basically. So when we get into the subnet section, I'll show you that in a second, we have to provision a subnet specifically for this gateway. You're going to get a gateway on both sides. And so then the gateway costs are basically going to be doubled, right? Because you're going to have a gateway on one end and a gateway on the other end. Go into the crate here, we give it a name, AZSJD, new gateway. We want it to be a VPN gateway. We'll choose the root-based. Now for this demo, we'll just choose the basic SKU, which is the cheapest one, 100 megabits per second bandwidth. We need to put this into a virtual network. So this is defaulting to West US. Why is that? Let's go to Central. We go back up to here. I can see that I have my two virtual networks that we connected through peering. Okay, so let's put this on one of them. Now it's going to ask where we want our gateway subnet to be put. The trick here is that we already have a default subnet in here, and I believe it is 10.16.0.0. So we're going to 10.0.16.0 and 10.16.0.0. Okay, we'll do the 10.16.0.0.1. Whether we use a public IP address or not, it has to be a dynamic IP address. We don't have a choice of this, so we'll create a new one. AZSGD new pub IP. pay-as-you-go subscription. We've already chosen the virtual network. It's chosen the resource group. When we click create, it's going to create a new subnet, and it's going to create this new gateway into that subnet. Okay, so we'll do this for both sides, and then we'll be able to turn on the connection between them. So while that's still deploying, we can go ahead and create the gateway in the other network so that we can connect the two of them. So I go down, Central US again, choose virtual network. I'm going to choose the other network, change it to the basic SKU. You'll see that it's chosen an IP address range. Now, one tip about the IP address range is this gateway subnet is only good for this gateway. You cannot add other devices to it. So to deploy, to have 256 addresses dedicated to this gateway is a waste of IPs. And so what you can do is use a /28 or /29 so that the number of IPs actually available is minimized. Okay, so we're going to say AZ new pub IP2, pay-as-you-go subscription, make sure my SKU is correct, and say create.